In today's video, we will present the life of the legendary Hashira Yoriichi Tsugikuni. When Yoriichi and his brother Michikatsu, later known as Kokushibo or born, were considered unlucky because when twins were born, succession battles would begin. Because of the sign Yoriichi had from birth, the father of the two twins decided to choose Michikatsu as his successor. Considering Yoriichi's sign as bad luck, he ordered that Yoriichi be killed. Upon hearing the news, the mother of the two twins had a furious reaction, losing control, so instead of Yoriichi being killed, she decided to send him to the temple once he turns 10. Despite the fact that Yoriichi and Michikatsu were brothers, everything was different between them. They had different rooms, kimonos, and even different food. Because of this, Yoriichi was never seen leaving his mother. He always sat on his mother's left side. Michikatsu always thought of Yoriichi as a weak and whiny child. When the father of the two was not around, Michikatsu would visit his brother one day bringing a whistle. Yoriichi was never seen smiling, and even until the age of 7, Yoriichi didn't speak. People thought he was deaf. One day, Yoriichi was watching his brother train without making a sound. Then Yoriichi spoke for the first time, and his brother asked him if he wanted to become the strongest samurai in the land. When Yoriichi spoke Oentru the first time, he spoke very fluently. When Michikatsu heard his brother's voice, he was so shocked that he dropped the sword from his hand. After he first spoke, he started saying he wanted to become a samurai. Yoriichi understood that he would have to go to the temple, but he was still smiling. Michikatsu was disgusted by what he was seeing and hearing. Michikatsu had criticized his brother for wanting to become a samurai, saying that a child who follows his mother's skirt cannot become a samurai. Yoriichi asked if he could be trained. His father's subordinate taught Yoriichi some basic things and challenged him to a fight. Even though Yoriichi didn't look like he was going to win, he was still trying for the small chance he had. Michikatsu looked amazed at the simulcast punches that Yoriichi was giving. He beat the trainer without much work, as he had been struggling for a long time to defeat him. Yoriichi managed to beat the trainer in less than a minute by hitting him in the neck, chest, stomach. Even though he had no fractures, he had swelling all over his body. After the fight with the Michikatsu master, Yoriichi never said he wanted to fight again because he didn't want to feel the sensation of hitting someone anymore. After Michikatsu followed Yoriichi for a long time, he found out the secret of his power. Yoriichi telling him a bizarre. Yoriichi said that when the lungs expand before hitting because the muscle contraction has to follow. It took the Michikatsu a while to realize Yoriichi could see through people's bodies. Yoriichi had been born with a special body that allowed him to see the organs of his ancestors. Yoriichi's physical abilities help him a lot. Yoriichi still wanted to play with his brother after all that had happened. Yoriichi wanted to devote himself entirely to sword training to become Stro. Yoriichi had a talent that everyone accepted and valued, and if he tried a little, he could become a fearsome fighter. When it came to fighting or swords, Yoriichi seemed very bored by them. Yoriichi had clearly superior qualities compared to other children, being considered a child prodigy. The statuses of the two twins changed radically because the subordinate of the father of the two reported to him what had happened. Yoriichi was the heir now, and Michikatsu was going to be sent to the temple by his father. One evening, something strange happened. Yoriichi went to his brother and gave him the painful news that the mother of the two had died. Yoriichi went to his brother to announce their mother's death at 3 a.m., the news coming as a shock. Yoriichi had informed his brother that he was going to the temple. Michikatsu was surprised that his brother made the decision to go to the temple for his own good. Yoriichi said goodbye to his brother, standing in front of him and waving. Michikatsu read his mother's diary. Yoriichi realized he was going to be succeeded, so he planned to go to the temple before that happened. Michikatsu also found out that Yoriichi knew about his mother's illness. Because of this, he always sat on her left side. The father of the two sent people to the temple to bring Yoriichi back, but he was nowhere to be found. Yoriichi lost touch with his family and disappeared. When Michikatsu's camp was attacked by a demon that slaughtered everything, the two brothers met again in fate, Yoriichi saving Michikatsu. Yoriichi defeated the demon that attacked the base and saved his brother Michikatsu. Michikatsu noticed that the abilities his brother possessed were much stronger than what they were as children. Yoriichi defeated the demon easily, but generally a demon was very hard to kill. The moment Michikatsu saw Yoriichi, the days of joy are over for him being Galeoso at his brother. Yoriichi apologized to his brother because he couldn't save all of Michikatsu's comrades. Yoriichi had become strong and a man without any flaws. Yoriichi also taught other demon hunters breaths. but no one could rise to the level of power Yoriichi had. Yoriichi worked on a system of breaths for each Hashira like this, or form example. Breaths can be the breath of the sun, the respiration of water, etc. When Yoriichi met the demon king Muzan, Muzan was not interested in Yoriichi saying he was not interested in breath fighters. Muzan was frighteningly powerful, with a large range and quick strikes. When Yoriichi dodged him, he could hear the sound of bamboo being cut behind him. Yoriichi felt close to death, saying that at the first touch he would have been killed by the Muzan. Muzan had 7 hearts and 5 brains. He was a complete monster. During the fight with Muzan, Yoriichi was able to reach his maximum form due to the breathing he had invented. Yoriichi manages to hit the Muzan with his sun breath, taking heavy damage. Muzan seemed confused that he wasn't regenerating. He was holding his head with his hand so it wouldn't fall, but he still wouldn't reconnect. However, before he delivered the coup de grace to Muzan Yoriichi, he wanted to ask the Demon King something. Yoriichi asked Muzan what he thought a life was. Muzan didn't answer him and just looked at him. Muzan's face turned red and swelled. Yoriichi thought his words didn't reach the demon's heart. Yoriichi looked at the face of the demon Muzan brought to Tamayo. Tamayo didn't even try to save Muzan, realizing Yoriichi's power. Instead, her eyes were wide open and eager for release. When Yoriichi took a step towards Muzan, he heard Muzan's teeth chatter. In the next moment, a huge explosion was heard. Muzan, self-destructed to escape, was shattered into 1,800 small pieces, Yoriichi managing to cut only 1,600 in a second. The 200 pieces that escaped could no longer be destroyed, Muzan escaping very hard from Yoriichi. Muzan escaped because Yoriichi stopped for a second. Yoriichi heard the sound of Tamayo saying Muzan should have died because he's a bastard. When Yoriichi calmed down Tamayo, he told her that Muzan probably won't appear again until he dies. When Yoriichi calmed down Tamayo, he told her that Muzan probably won't appear again until he dies. Later, Yoriichi's allies go to him to inform him that his brother has become a demon. Yoriichi took responsibility for not defeating Muzan, let Tamayo escape, and brother or became a demon. Some even said Yoriichi should pay with his life for what he did. The decision belonged to the young Oyakata, who was the head of the Hashira. He said it would be fine if Yoriichi was no longer the Hashira. Yoriichi was born to defeat Muzan, but failed. Yoriichi apologized for not being able to kill the Muzan, but he also thanked the Kamado family for happily making him back again. After many years of not fighting, Yoriichi reached the age of 80 and reunited with his brother Michikatsu, now known as the demon Kokushibo. The two twins, or reunited, one being the strongest Hashira in existence, and one being the second strongest demon in existence. Kokushibo was amazed that his brother lived to this age because those who are born with the sign of Yoriichi on a girl die before the age of 25. But Yoriichi lived to be 80 because he was born with the sign and believed him. Yoriichi pulls his sword Nikarim from its sheath to kill his brother, who had become an unscrupulous demon who only wanted to kill innocent people. He attacks his brother as if he was 20. Even if Yoriichi was over 70 years old, he didn't feel Kokushibo. He was destroyed by... When Yoriichi was about to give the coup de grace to his brother, or Kokushibo, he dies of old age being torn apart by Kokushibo.